Hello there, Lunar Squadron, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to our episodic breakdown series for LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Now, up to this point, we have broken down the storyboards for both Episode 1 and Episode 2. However, we did not receive a storyboard for Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. The only thing that we do know for sure is that one of the levels was confirmed, that being Senate Showdown. However, we here at Lunar Squadron decided to sit down and put together a hypothetical list of pre-levels and main levels for Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. We did our best to stay true to the overall composition of the storyboard, and just as a reminder before we jump into this is all pure speculation up to this point outside of that Senate Showdown level. Now, before we get into all of this, Andreas, I believe we have a few brief messages.
That's right, Nick, we do. First of all, if you are new to the channel, we would love to have you. All you have to do is click the little red subscribe button and the bell notification button right on next to it. It'll let you know whenever we upload all the breakdowns that we do upload, including our episodic breakdown series, which is what you're watching right now. And then my second message is actually for General Grievous. General Grievous, my watch broke, so do you know what time it is?
Time to abandon ship.
Alright, thanks, Grievous. Anyway, let's get into the episode.
This is Lunar Squadron standing by. We are ready to make the jump to hyperspace.
On my mark, Lunar Squadron.
Now, before we get into the actual composition of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the GOAT of all Star Wars, right, Nick?
It really is. It is the greatest Star Wars film.
Yeah, before we get into that, I just wanted to kind of break down for you guys how we actually structured this episode, and we took a large inspiration from the storyboards that we actually got for Episodes 1, 2, and 4 of this game. Now, if you look at those storyboards, there are 20 slots which are composed of pre-levels, main levels, and those intro and outro animations. So if you really take out those two animations, you are left with 18 spots on each storyboard. Now, of course, Episode 4 had less story spots on its storyboard. However, just knowing how action-packed Episode 3 is, there's something going on every 5 seconds in this movie, I assume that they are going to use up all 20 spaces just like they did in Episode 2 and just like they did in Episode 1. Now, that said, we have 5 spots for main levels, and then we have 13 remaining spots for the pre-level. So, based off of those numbers, we put together our list here, which honestly hits on some points that we think are likely to be in the game, as well as points that we would just honestly really love to see in the game. And of course, this is speculation, just like Nick said, so we'd love to hear your list in the comments down below. This is our list, and we love our list, but you might not, and that's okay. Provide your list down below. That said, we are going to start off with the main intro, which I think we've already seen in this game. That is the flyover of the Venator-class Star Destroyer with Obi-Wan and Anakin's Jedi Starfighters. This is going to usher you in to the Battle of Coruscant, which we know is probably going to be in this game. It was in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. However, this time around, we think it's going to be a little different, and it's going to take the form of a pre-level, huh, Nick?
Yep, we sure do. We actually think the battle over Coruscant will be the first pre-level in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga for Episode 3. As you approach the Invisible Hand. Now, we do know that this was a main level, like you said, in the Complete Saga and the original video game. However, we think this one is actually going to be best served as a pre-level, which will take us into our first main level, which we actually have split into 1A and 1B. We are calling this the Invisible Hand. Now, we think main level 1A will consist of reaching the Chancellor, which we have seen Anakin running through the hallways of the Invisible Hand, and then ultimately culminating with the Count Dooku Showdown, and then it will kick off into main level 1B, won't it, Andreas?
Yeah, we really do think that 1B is going to take a different tonal shift. This time, you are actually going to be seizing command of the ship, and then ultimately, we think that this would be really cool if you would be able to fly half a ship, just like, you know, Obi-Wan does say in the movie.
Not to worry, we are still flying half a ship.
And then you would steer the invisible hand safely onto a runway without making too much collateral damage, and that would kind of position you on Coruscant, which is where we do think that the next little cluster of pre-levels will take place in this game. I think there's a lot of things they could kind of have you do, maybe some additional things that we didn't even see in the movie, but we think that you might be making maybe a trip over to the Jedi Council, or even down to the Uscru District, which is where you might hear a certain tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. Nick, have you heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No, I actually haven't.
I thought not. It's not a story the Jedi would tell you.
Now, after both of these pre-levels on Coruscant, that being your meeting in the Jedi Council and you hearing the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, we believe this is where main level 2 would come into play. And again, we've actually split this main level up into 2A and 2B. 2A being the Battle of Utapau, where you take on General Grievous as Obi-Wan, and then 2B being where the clones arrive, where Commander Cody comes and saves the day. We actually have seen footage of Cody fighting off battle droids on Utapau, and that's why we think this will be, again, a two-part main level. One being Grievous versus Obi-Wan, the second one being after the clones arrive, and you see Cody fighting off some droids. Then that gets us into our pre-levels leading up into main level 3. We actually believe that there will be 3 pre-levels for the third main level. The first one being Anakin confronting Palpatine after he learns that he is actually the Dark Lord of the Sith they have been looking for the entire time. Pre-level 3B being where Anakin goes and actually informs Mace Windu at the Jedi Temple. And pre-level 3C, which we actually think will be Mace versus Palpatine, where the Jedi Masters go to arrest Palpatine. We actually don't think that will be a main level in this game. We do think this will be a pre-level, and it will be pre-level 3C, leading into our third main level, won't it, Andreas?
That's right. We do think that the third main level of this game is going to be the Battle of Kashyyyk, but that's not all. We do think that they could kind of take some creative liberties with the Battle of Kashyyyk, which kind of mirrors something that we saw in the way that A New Hope is laid out. What I'm talking about is in A New Hope, there is the diplomatic mission where you have the first half, then you have a mid-tro, and then you have the second half where you're playing as the droids, which is a dichotomy from the first half where you're playing as Princess Leia. Here, I do think they could kind of set up a similar dichotomy with this level. That being, I think that there could be a Battle of Kashyyyk up front where you are controlling Yoda as well as the clone troopers, or hey, you know, you could just be using clone troopers and Wookiees fighting the droid army. And then there's the mid-tro, which we think is a perfect time to execute Order 66 in this game. And then that will, of course, change the whole nature of the Battle of Kashyyyk. It will turn from the Battle of Kashyyyk into the Escape of Kashyyyk, where you will be using Yoda, Tarful, and Chewbacca to escape Kashyyyk. We kind of did see Tarful, Yoda, and Chewbacca on Kashyyyk, so we know that that is in the realm of possibility in this game, and it would just be a cool way to incorporate Order 66 and actually see a dynamic shift in a level in a meaningful way to the gameplay and story. And then we think that we're going to have a few pre-levels, don't we?
Yeah, so we do know for sure that Senate Showdown is a confirmed level for Episode 3, and we actually think it makes the most sense as the fourth main level in this game. However, we do think there will be a few pre-levels leading up to this fourth level, the first one being pre-level 4A, which will be the March on the Jedi Temple as Anakin. We actually are hoping, this is more hopeful, that we think this will be a level in this game. It might be a little too dark for a LEGO game. It's the same reason we think Order 66 will probably be a cutscene if it is in this game, because we just do still have to remember that this is a LEGO game after all, and they have never really touched on this darker side, so we're not really sure that they're actually going to do that in regards to LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
I hope they do. It would be cool, but I'm just not confident that they will. So that first pre-level, we are going to be hopeful and say it is the March on the Jedi Temple, and then pre-level 4B will be again on Coruscant, but this time it will be a return to the Jedi Temple as Yoda and Obi-Wan. We did see this as one of the main levels in the complete saga. However, we think in this case it would best be a pre-level in this game, leading up into main level 4, that being the Senate Showdown, which we've actually seen some footage for, and that is the fight between Yoda and Palpatine. And that will then take us into our pre-levels for level 5, which we think level 5 is pretty obvious. But, Andreas, what is the pre-level for the 5th main level?
We do think that the pre-level for this is actually going to be on Mustafar. It could be in Mustafar local space as well. Whatever it is going to be you getting Padme and Obi-Wan over to Mustafar, or doing stuff, you know, in preparation of that ultimate main level 5, which is obviously going to be the Battle of the Heroes, named after, you know, John Williams' score. This is the battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan. It's just gotta end this way, right? Like, we've seen so much footage of Anakin versus Obi-Wan. It does appear to have a few on-the-rails fighting segments. It's got cutscenes involved. We've seen the lot for this one. I think this is going to be the grand finale for this episode. That is totally not a controversial pick at all. I do think, you know, the main play in the joints for this episode will kind of be that first half, the first 3 main levels, because the 4th and 5th picks are totally locked in here, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. I definitely think Senate Showdown will be the 4th level, and I think it's pretty obvious that Obi-Wan versus Anakin or Vader will be the 5th main level, and then it will obviously take us out with that outro sequence of Darth Vader ultimately rising. Now, just to reiterate, this is all pure speculation, but our 5 hypothetical main levels for Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is 1, the Invisible Hand, which will consist of 2 parts, that being the Count Dooku and Still Flying Half a Ship sequence. The second one being Battle of Utapau, another 2-part main level, that being the General Grievous first half, and the Battle of Utapau with the clones as the second half. The third being the Battle of Kashyyyk, again, another 2-parter. We think Episode 3 is going to be a pretty big one in this game. It's just a big movie. A lot happens in the film. That being the first half being the Battle of Kashyyyk versus the droids, then having that mid-tro cutscene, Order 66, followed by the clones turn on you. You have to escape Kashyyyk. Then we think will be the 2 obvious ones, that being Senate Showdown, and 5th main level being the Battle of the Heroes. So I just wanted to reiterate that, and again, all pure speculation. This entire video has been pure speculation from the pre-levels to the main levels. Just want to make sure that is understood, Andreas.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a beautiful list that you just shared. Guys, let us know in the comments down below what your lists look like. Of course, remember that Senate Showdown is already confirmed. We've seen that as a confirmed level in this game. So, what are your other 4 levels? What do they look like? Do you think that Order 66 is going to be in this game? Do you think that you're going to be able to use Anakin Skywalker again as the absolute weed whacker that he is in the Jedi Temple, slaying those younglings as he does? Let us know in the comments down below. We would love to hear your thoughts on that. That said, that's going to do it for our picks. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we will see you all next time.